I've already rated where I feel the Arcadian raids go, so let's drop difficulty a little and go to the trials. Let's go over the extreme fights of Dawntrail and whether I think they're good fights or not. Much like all tier lists, be sure to yell at me when I rated things in a way you don't like. Otherwise, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, or follow me on my socials. I also have a Discord for the community. Come join and talk about Evercold or such. Also, I stream. Did you know I stream? A lot of people don't realize I stream, but I stream. Go follow my Twitch. Starting off with our first trial, we have Valagarmanda. This fight was an amazing first impression for the future of extreme fights that kind of wasn't lived up to. It hits really hard when you first get to it, especially the fire stacks, and has the coolest tank buster in the entire game. Mountain Fire is truly awesome and set a bar that not even Savage fights attempt to reach. A simple Wild Charge buster? That's nothing. I like the intro mechanic feeling like a lot, but really having extremely basic movement to dodge it once you understood the pattern. Then starting with the fire phase was genius, with how it is brand new and not from normal. The ice and lightning phases have plenty of their own new things that are extremely rude, but fire has the most to deal with. Those volcanoes are so cool with introducing having arena backgrounds actually mattering. I think this is something Doomtrain also tried to do, to mixed results as far as player opinions go. Otherwise, fights just didn't try to at all. Like, even the ice phase in the same fight slightly added in some of that with the avalanches. That aside, the ice side's messes of AoEs were fun. The only issue I had with the fight would be over in the lightning phase. The proximity feathers could sometimes feel too punishing. I don't mean the last one would end up killing people for greed, I mean during the run itself. Some pulls it just felt like I would take way more damage than normal, and it not even being a healer issue. Generally, this fight was just really fun to perform. I did it on both Dragoon and Viper, and had a blast. I'm putting this right up into S tier. Great time, and I wish they took notes on what worked here. Zeralja was the other fight that started the expansion off, and I did not like him nearly enough. I found him pretty boring. Going back into it for the video to get footage, I do feel like there was some good stuff here. I like the menacing line, even if people just tried to cheese it. I'm glad that was immediately patched out. But I also don't like how basically everyone does it backwards. Everyone pre-spreads, making the first few hits do so much damage for no reason, when instead you could do, say, 2 light party stacks that explode 4 times, or the same line, but instead stack all 8 people after the tanks explode. Overall though, the fight is just slow and boring. The exploding lines on the floor are bigger than you might expect. The interdimensional zone swords are more annoying to plot out than interesting. The donut and circle AoE lines have such annoying snapshots too. Beyond the fact that the second woe zone had the 2 platforms and wind tornadoes, I really just don't think much about this fight. I really don't have much to say about it either. It really didn't leave an impact on me besides wanting to get wings and get out. A goal I didn't even achieve until starting this video. Going to put this down in C tier for being forgettable. With the first patch, we got our final boss extreme. Queen Eternal took a fight that had a couple funny tricks, and did its own very, very different things. The fact that there was no "this hole was made for me" mechanic was a shock, but a welcome one given the meteors are far more interesting, though a bit rough to execute sometimes with how precise that phase was. The panels exploded so much faster than they feel like they should for the first set. The team whose side she hit second can sprint to their spot and barely make it still. Ping and finickiness of the gravity well made it difficult. This is a fight that had almost no downtime, it felt like. The most downtime was during the tank busters and the complete nothing that was Coronation. It's scary to look at, but then you know the answer and it's just literally free. Having trouble with Coronation would genuinely be the most worrying thing about a player's skill. Ultimately, the fight came down to Ice Phase. Skip Ice or disband. For some reason people were really bad at Ice. They either hesitated so much despite strats even establishing an order and positions, or they wouldn't wait for the other person to cross when they weren't behind schedule. It wasn't that precise, but it caused so much failure. The final added phase is a bit weird. It's kind of easy even without the special markers that give everyone a spot. The rest of the mechanics are fun and fitting though. They're basic, but it's a matter of this is her death throws, a broken machine that is throwing whatever she can. A bit mad that it repeats though. Guess I didn't want to put too much to land this late into the fight. Overall, I give Queen Eternal an A. There's a few problems I have, but it was an overall fun fight to do. Please just skip ice since I can't trust any of you to do the mechanics. Our first patch trial is Beatrice, or, well, Zelenia as the story calls her. It uses her theme, she's Beatrice. This is another fight, the second in a row, where you skip the final mechanic or just can't clear. Bloom 6 at least, I feel it was warranted. I eventually understood it after seeing it enough times. Without guides, a guide easily spells out what's going on, but it's still a lot to read on the fly. And I don't even mean because of the color issues. I didn't really have those color issues, though I could understand it. You had to figure out which role you were, whether it was outer or inner placements, and dodge large AoE swipes. It all resolved pretty quickly too. You couldn't look too hard at it being inner or outer, or you'd miss the safe spots, and have to remember them. It was so much. As for the rest of the fight, Brain Dead Edge is a harder strat than just doing the mechanic normally, and you will not convince me otherwise. Stop adopting bad strats just because it has Brain Dead in the name before I have to start making guides that call every strat Brain Dead, no matter how easy or hard the strat is. Pray I do not alter the deal further. No more tangents there, the rest of the fight is fine. I do appreciate more witch hunt markers, and the needing to always swap positions at least once is a good way to do it. The interluding mechanics between blooms I felt were underutilized though. Sure, it did need people to invent Brain Dead Edge, but it wasn't all that special. Each bloom was very different, even between 2 and 5, which were very similar in nature. Yet the movement and what you look for was still very different. Bloom 4 was especially impressive to me, in that the stack you specifically aimed for having both halves of the party end up on the red panels, which would spread the stack damage despite not being in the stack itself. Like, that's a really awesome way of handling things that could be taken in a bunch of other ways too, if they wished. Also, her ad phase is pretty fun. I skipped over that, but I like it. There's some fun optimizing you can do with skipping to the other side of the arena for a sneaky GCT or two to help the support catch up. Also, did you know the person who gets the clone can also stand in the tower? They don't have to stay out of it. It even is beneficial sometimes. I can only give Zelenia a B rank due to the non-bloom parts of the fight feeling uninteresting after the ad phase. The intro is the tutorial, and I do feel it was maybe needed in this case, but after that they don't do enough with it. I would like you to take a guess as to how many times I killed Necron when he came out. Come on, give a guess. Maybe take some engagement bait and leave a comment down below with your genuine guess as to my Necron kill count. I'll give you a moment. Do you have a number in mind? Are we ready? I killed Necron 1 time total. D tier. I do not like this fight. It feels so slow, so tiring, so boring. Even when coming back to farm for the biblically accurate wings, Necron is the only fight I was getting bored of within a few kills. Every part of this fight is either boring or janky as all sin. Grand Cross? More like grand ass. The spinning AoE indicators have worse snapshots than the Zerol jawlines. Ad phase? It seems completely random which DPS ad enrages first, and it just feels bad. I tried going based on letter indicator? Nope. I've tried whichever I hit first? Nope. I tried whichever has more HP. Also no. It just feels bad. I think the hands and how they work are fine, though I think putting you into a new ad phase right before Memento Mori body checks is a piss-awful way to do things. For all the complaints people have for body checks, this is one that I wholly hate. You can't always easily die in the ads, meaning you have a long pair of load times plus the raise, making it impossible to get out. It always seems to be the healer that gets caught too. I just can't. I really cannot enjoy this fight. Which is a shame too, since I love FF9. I wanted to love Necron, but I just cannot. He has failed me. Calyx, you really failed me here. Go get milk poured on you and slammed into a wall. This expansion we actually got 8 extreme trials thanks to the presence of Arkveld. It balances out the ratings, as this one promptly goes into F tier. This is going to be controversial, I know, but I have a very, very simple reason it deserves to be in F tier. This was the Monster Hunter crossover. Replace Arkveld with any other random monster, and you would not notice the difference. Replace Rathalos with a random anything else, you're going to recognize that moveset. Maybe they couldn't do something like that because Wilds is a much faster paced game. But this is such a disappointing fight as a result. I didn't want just another fight. I wanted a Monster Hunter fight. Then you get to the actual fight itself, and honestly, I don't think that's too good either. Phoenix back in P3, seeing the AoEs are fine. Zelenia, what color contrast issues? Arkveld? I'm learning the orange indicators at the end rather than any of the actual animations. It's just effects soup on the floor at all times. Then the actual attacks, his left-right animations are terrible. The explosion is so delayed after his tendril throw, nothing like in Wilds. His charging at players doing side cleaves? A trap, since you aren't going to expect him to just turn around. He just feels like a random assortment of AoEs that just get thrown out. They didn't have any actual ideas for this fight besides, we need to use the new flagship. Meanwhile, Gormagala is right there and actually far more fitting with that, theme-wise at least. If it was purely just a fight, I might put it in D or even C. But the extreme missed potential of this being the Monster Hunter collab, after Rathalos was such a cool time, yeah, I'll pass. Doom Train, meanwhile, was a super fun fight. I really like Doom Train. Each car ends up feeling very unique, while not feeling too much on the tutorial end. The first car, sure, but then the rest of the cars are all unique. Second car has you dealing with the base mechanics, while also dealing with the lasers, which have some fun optimization options. Just maybe don't try to greed when the tanks are taking the busters. The big thing about this fight is whether you thought the ad phase was impossible or not. I personally found camera angles that were very consistent and had no problems hearing the smokestack go off. I also have cleared many times with the sound turned off completely, watching the animations instead. Many people did not have this experience. They either have hearing issues or are on controller and thus cannot follow the train riding around. I play with both hands on the keyboard and still follow the train, so I really don't get that controller one, but the sound issue is a genuine one, that they have luckily fixed after quite some time. Now it's extremely audible. This doesn't quite fix it for the deaf players, but baby steps, I guess. Worst case scenario, you can rely on everyone else to do the fight correct. If other people do it wrong, you probably wipe anyway. As I said though, I'm not someone who had either issue. I can easily do both, even before the audio fix, so I'm not going to knock it too hard when I otherwise think this fight is super fun. I especially love the fourth car, because I constantly shocked people with telling them that there's a very consistent way to read the mechanic. There are only two possible sets of movement, 2-3-3 and 2-2-4. Both add up to 8. If the first movement of the beam moves 3 or 4 times, you know which pattern you are on. Watch the second movement and you will know exactly where the final spots might be. The clockwise and counterclockwise movement is random too, but knowing these specifics makes this mechanic far easier and much more fun with being able to tell where is safe ahead of time. The final train car is a random mishmash of the mechanics, but in a really cool way I am down for. That's why I'm actually putting this fight in S tier. I really love the train. Also, Lummel's voice line's a peak. NOO is our final extreme fight of the expansion. Unless they surprise us and not only give us the Greg fight we absolutely need to have in 7.5, but an extreme version as well. But that's for them. Now is for now. Now is to talk about how NOO isn't some major divergence in fight design, most of it being extremely simple. Yet, it just works. It hits hard, is fun to execute, and catches people quite a bit. The conal AoEs and the orbs and the hunts in the third phase are what get people most. The orbs is probably my favorite use of the snake pryos, since snake pryos became the term. It's slow enough to not be some snap judgment, but fast enough that you can't completely dawdle at getting to your first orb. When two orbs next to each other are exploding though, the hitboxes can feel wonky. Like, the AoE is bigger than the animation. I've been extremely conservative with my positioning, and sometimes still get clipped. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Hunts, meanwhile, are just a pure greed check. You are going to take so much downtime as most jobs in the game. Ranged have infinite movement, mages have swift cast and their instants, the healers might have tools depending on which one you are. Melee just get fucked if you want to play safely. In normal mode, I didn't play safe and just kited the hunt next to the boss. In extreme, I'm not taking that risk, especially since a good party will kill immediately after hunts anyway. Spamming Piercing Talon is plenty of damage enough. If there is any complaint to make, it's that the tutorial phase is a bit too long. I feel like they could have started us post-ad phase, and we would have been fine. It wouldn't have let them do this fuck-ass ad phase, so maybe that's why they kept it. But like really, who decided to put a mechanic in here like this? The margin for error and absolute randomness is something I would have expected out of an ultimate, which honestly gives me further hope for Kefka. Please be a god tier ultimate with awesome weapons to farm. But yeah, very simple fight other than some minor gotchas you can easily learn. I am very much torn on putting it in A or S tier. The actual answer will probably change while I'm editing this, so be sure to check the note on screen on what I ended up deciding. I will probably double back on that opinion once I hit upload, but that's the nature of video, I guess. I will not have sorted these within the tiers themselves for this one, but overall I am pretty confident with these rankings. Dawntrail had some absolute banger extremes, but some also not so great ones. Looking at you especially, Arkveld, I had such high hopes for that one. Where do you all rate the fights? How angry at me did you get for putting certain fights where they are? Please make sure to leave your comments below. Also make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I think I'm going to work on some more casual videos next, so keep a lookout for those. Not like stuff on casual content, but I mean like another mentor video or such. Having fun with the game means I could do stuff like that, much as the chuds like to pretend I don't like the game. Be a chort instead. That aside, check out my socials and my Discord for more insight into the inner workings of the Wesk mind, also known as how absolutely crazy I am. And the streams, I still get people who say they had no idea I streamed, despite it being listed in every video. Take care and may the power of Anne and Nidhogg lay waste to your enemies.